Alrighty, so today I want to talk about what equipment I use to fly FPV, the drones, the gear, the everything, because I realize this is something that I haven't talked about yet. And a lot of you keep asking me in the comments like, what do I fly, or where can I buy it? And I built it, but this is probably the most affordable way you can fly DJI digital. So if you're wanting to jump into FPV and fly digital, this video is going to be for you. Let's get started. What's good, everybody? Ken here, and today we're going to talk about the equipment or the drone that I am using for FPV. This is one that I have built. This is a TBS Source 1 frame. Why did I choose this frame? It's been out on the market for a while and they actually have a new version 4. But I went with this because it's super cheap. It's 25 bucks and it's really durable. Now, it's not the lightest frame on the market, and that's okay. I wanted something that was readily available that I could use, fly, destroy, build, and just get parts for it immediately. Because this is open source, there is a lot available for this. Primarily, there is just plethoras of replacement parts at all of the sites. Whether you go through Pyrodrone, Race Day Quads, Get FPV, you're gonna find something for this. It's also really versatile in the fact that there is immense amounts of STL files out there for this. Now, an STL file is something that can be 3D printed, such as a GoPro mount, the VTX mount, along with my custom camera mount to accommodate the DJI camera. Now, the stack that I'm using is a T-Motor F7 stack. Now, I've tried all sorts of different stacks. I've tried the Mamba from Diatone. I've tried basically everything, but I've settled on the F7 from T-Motor just because for me it works the best. It's also a 60 amp ESC, which means it can handle those really high voltage spikes. It also allows me to power my receiver without actually needing a LiPo in my drone, which is also safer. And it allows me to set my modes. So that's something to consider, is those ports, those 5-volt ports do provide power, so you can configure things for you. So T-Motor F7, it doesn't matter whether you go with the DJI version or just the standard F7. I just have the standard F7. Now, as far as motors go, I do fly Zing motors. Now, these are iFlight motors. They are relatively affordable and cheap. Yeah, I could have went more expensive. I could have went with a different brand, but honestly, a motor to me is a motor. I fly 1800 kV, 2208 Zings. These are the Unibel designs, and right now they've been on sale for like 20 bucks. Now, these right here are the Zing E motors, which are a little bit cheaper. They're about $11. They fly somewhat similar. However, the stator size is 2207. Now, I fly 1800 kV because I am flying 6S. Everybody has their personal preference on what they like. I just find that with my tune and my flying style, that 1800 kV fits me quite well, so that's what I choose to use. Now, as far as the VTX that I'm using, this is a Caddx Vista. I chose the Caddx Vista because it fits in the TBS Source 1 frame without any additional modifications needed, which is really important. I didn't want to have to remove any of these rods here to these fucking standoffs, so that way I would decrease the rigidity of the frame. I wanted to fly it as it came, so the VTX and the Caddx Vista fits perfectly. I just basically use double-sided tape and a zip tie to hold it down, and I've had zero issues with it for months and months and months. You do need to print a custom camera mount to be able to use this frame with the DJI camera. It's hard to see in here. I'll try to pull it close, but I do have a custom 3D printed mount in there, which is sort of a pain in the ass to use, but it works. I could have gotten rid of the carbon fiber and just printed a mount for it, but again, wanting to keep the overall structural integrity of the frame, I opted not to do that. As far as the receiver goes, I am using a Crossfire receiver. I switched to Crossfire almost immediately after starting FPV. Probably a month into flying FPV, I switched over to Crossfire, and I haven't looked back. The range, the latency is all really important, and if you want to have that peace of mind knowing that you're probably going to lose video before you lose your RC control, then you're going to want to go with Crossfire. Let me go ahead and show you the radio that I'm using. Now, my radio of choice is the Tbs Tango 2. I was really against these game style controller RCs just because I just didn't feel like it was comfortable as somebody who pinches. But I have to say, this is proving to be very, very comfortable. I am a pincher, and what I do like is I do have enough of leadway to still feel like I have space to move around. Now that's gonna be different for everybody depending on how big your hands are, but for me, the Tango 2 definitely is an absolute win. Reason why I went with this one, because again, it's pretty affordable, 200 bucks. The other thing is these gimbals fold in like so, and because of the design, it's smaller. I can just throw it in my bag and not have to take up as much space. With the QX7s and the Tyrannus X9D, that took up a lot of space, and I was always breaking switches. With the Tango 2, I don't have to worry about breaking any switches. Most of them are flush, and they're also very familiar switches, and you just don't have to worry about them breaking. Plus, it charges via USB-C, which all of my stuff is USB-C, so it's just easy. And I don't feel like I have to have a lanyard with this, so that's why I use this. All right, so the goggles, obviously DJI FPV goggles. I did go ahead and put the True RC antennas on here. Do these antennas really work? Honestly, I don't know. I mean, they feel like they work, but that could also be a placebo. They'd get the job done. I did go ahead and immediately replace the foam on these goggles because the stock standard like pleather foam just sucks and it's really super uncomfortable. So pro tip, get yourself this foam from the official DJI store. Don't get the ones that you see on eBay. Get this foam. You can see it's like super, super cushiony. And I've had this on here since I've had these, and honestly, it doesn't feel like it's worn down too much. I mean, after a while, it's gonna get deteriorated because you're sweating and whatever, but yeah, get this foam. It's gonna make your life a lot easier. It also keeps the goggles a little bit more away from your face and also prevents light leaks, which was something that kept happening when I first got this. The straps, I just grabbed the fat strap. I like my bitches on my strap. I'm a big fan of this, where is she at? Where's she at? I'm a big fan of this brunette though. She's thick. Look how thick she is. Damn, she's thick. I love a brunette. God damn it. But yeah, that's my setup. And now I'm gonna rip. I'm gonna fly one. Let's do this.
That things aren't going my way, 'cause that would be boring. Spend my last cent on cheese and champagne. What a wonderful morning. Never mind, she declined to the first date. It was only on my birthday. Never mind all the lines on the highway. Give me time to reflect a bit, 'cause I'm just having a good day. Having a good day. Having a real good morning. I'm just having a good day. Having a good day. Having a real good morning. Real good morning. Real good morning. I guess that things can only get better from here, but sometimes I wonder, I might have met the love of my life, but I lost a number. Never mind, she declined to the first date. I went to Vegas with a roommate. Never mind all the lines on the highway. I aim to misbehave, 'cause I'm just having a good day. Having a good day. Having a real good morning. I'm just having a good day. Having a good day. Having a real good morning. I'm just having a good time. Having a bad day, yeah. A real good morning. A real good morning. A real good morning. I'm just having a good day. Having a good day. Having a real good morning. I'm just
Whew, that wasn't bad. Sort of felt like the drib a little bit. Alrighty, so that was it. Sometimes when you're having a good session, it's just good to cap it off at just right there, not push it any further. I did today switch over to the watermelon props from Ethics. I have been flying the P3 props. Now, one thing I did notice that the watermelon props fly a little bit better on the 2207 1800 kVs. However, when I switch over to the 2208 stator 1800 kVs, I do tend to like the P3 props. I do think I get smoother response. Something else I just want to mention is that I do use Emu Flight. I did make the full switch and I'm really happy with it, and it's super simplistic and it just works really well. So the last thing I just want to say is that if you're going to, you know, build a quad, pick one frame, pick one component and just stick with that. I watched a video from Cricket FPV, I'll link it down below, but he talked about how you get better at flying FPV and its consistency. And he's right. If you fly something over and over again, you sort of know the curves of it, you know what to expect, and that's what's really important when you're doing this. And that was a mistake I made. I wanted to make all these different quads, and that's not a good idea. So stick with one thing and fly it. I figure I'll finish off the video and read a couple of comments from people. Most notably because the remote ID took over, I just wanted to go ahead and just read a couple of comments. This comment comes from James Richardson. It says, what exactly does this mean for Mavic Mini and Mavic Mini 2 owners? More specifically, does this mean that drone operators that fly under the 250 gram weight limit? So James, to that answer is if you are not flying commercially, meaning that you're not 107, the Mavic Mini will be exempt from any sort of remote identification regulation. But the minute you fly commercially or for profit or for gain, technically you're going to have some sort of transponder to communicate your drone's location. Again, like I said, there's two ways that remote ID is going to work, whereas there are a broadcast feature where I'm the operator, my location can be seen as well as the drone, and then there's the standard configuration, or I should say there's the broadcast where we're just sending out a signal. So two different ways to go about it, but again, nothing takes effect for 3 years at this point. So my recommendation is just fly what you have, because chances are most of you guys that have drones today are probably going to go ahead and upgrade, and it's not even going to be a conversation. And then some jackass puts in this comment section, he goes, look at your dislike ratio to like ratio, get better. Well, Dav W, fuck you, I don't care. I've never cared about likes or dislikes. That's why I leave them on. Personally, I don't ever give a shit. And at the end of the day, I really don't give a shit about what anybody says, because that's the problem with YouTube. We're too concerned with catering to every single viewer that we forget to just be ourselves sometimes. So if I haven't said it already, fuck you, Dav. Fuck you. All right. That's going to do it for this video. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about. It's really a super important thing when you are flying FPV. You need to make sure that you don't